Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and while yes, I know that Chris Heroes has basically already made this video, I'm going to do the same. So essentially, TLDR, we have this almost 12 million subscribed YouTuber named Mrwhostheboss making a video essentially claiming that Pokemon Unite's pay to win or that they're trying to scam you. And first and foremost, I've already watched the video. I'm going to do my reaction to it and talk about all the points, but also going to give my perspective and then yeah, see what I agree with, see what I disagree with. Also, check out the link in the description. I'm actually not happy with the developers of Pokemon Unite. So as a full-time YouTuber for Unite, I'm boycotting the game for the entire month of October. This includes not spending money, not buying memberships, not spending my pre-existing gems, which I've now decided to do, and essentially just trying to show the devs that I'm not happy with them. So I'm sure there's going to be things in here that I completely agree with, things in here that I completely disagree with, but it's big, right? It's big whenever a video can go live 5 hours ago and has more than 500,000 views on a channel that has almost 12 million subscribers. So let's take a look at it and let's give our thoughts. So it's going to be a long one. Strap in, like the video, drop a comment on your thoughts, and yeah.
Pokemon, Call of Duty, Diablo Immortal, Raid Shadow Legends.
Yes.
These are just some of the hundreds of games that are run by scammers, effectively trying to bankrupt you. We're going to expose them for who they are.
Okay, first and foremost, I'll go ahead and just get this out of the way. This video is incredibly well made, so it's a gem of a video. I definitely urge you to go watch the video, give it some engagement if you could. Just YouTuber to YouTuber, I would appreciate that if y'all would do that. Go give the video a like. They, his team, whatever, put a ton of work into it, and I think that it's pretty good. So.
3 weeks ago, I started playing the incredibly popular mobile game, Pokemon
Sorry,
Unite.
that happens sometimes.
It seems simple. You're in one team of Pokemon, and your goal is to head to the other side of the map and score goals against the other team of Pokemon. It's
this is
completely
true.
free to play, and over 100 million people have downloaded the game. But I'd only just finished a tutorial.
Look how well made this is.
With a full-page ad to spend $10 on something called the Unite membership.
Yeah, which I've never bought.
So I closed that tab and carried on playing, not realizing at this point that this was all part of a bigger plan to rinse me of everything that I own. It took just 6 more minutes of playtime before I was greeted with this. See, the game gives you...
Okay, so this is where I'm going to pause and immediately start giving my thoughts. First and foremost, the editing on this it's fantastic. The way they filmed it is amazing. I have to say, from the creative side, it's crazy. I instantly agree. Instantly agree. It is so blatantly obvious that Pokemon Unite is meant to monetize at the highest degree. You know, the 7-day login, you know, pay for gems, the buy the battle pass, you know, obviously is monetization. All the skins, especially the super expensive ones. Dude, this game is monetized to the max. I don't know if you can monetize it more. And so I'm not going to go as far as some of these points in this video are, but I am going to tell you that this game is monetized to shit. To shit, man. It's so monetized. And it's a little frustrating and a little not great. So yeah, let's go ahead and let it continue.
A login bonus every single day that you come back to the game and play. But this pass effectively gives you bonuses on top of that bonus, which actually seemed pretty reasonable for the 60 EOS gems that it cost me, which equates to about $1 in real money. So I bought it. One of the first times I've ever spent money on a free game.
Okay.
And I felt alive. Kind of like how you feel when you manage to nab one of those Amazon Lightning deals just before they run out. After the first couple of days though, I started to notice that while I was getting plenty of new stuff and constant level ups, and I had been given 4 different Pokemon to play with, I started losing. Like, a lot. I started to realize that this game was less about skill on the battlefield. The combat is effectively just mashing your different attacks as soon as they become ready to use. It's more about how strong you make your Pokemon before you step foot on the battlefield.
Nope. 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 You're just dog shit. So this is the part where this video loses a ton of credibility, and that's a shame, because in this video it's important to know that there are really like good points in this video and there's really bad points. This is the utmost worst point you could make. No, I'm sorry. No, you probably, and I think that like I've already seen comments or tweets about like them APIing this person's account. You probably played like 30 games, right? Like you have no experience in the game. You probably have no experience in MOBAs. And no, it's not as simple as you just paid to win and you're losing because you're playing with other people that have no. That's not what's happening. You're bad at the game because you're a new player, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. And you're behind having everything unlocked because you're a new player, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. So let me go ahead and debunk this now. You cannot pay to win in Pokemon Unite. You can pay to progress, you can pay to get a little bit stronger, but you are not going to be a competitive top tier player because you outpaid the others. That's not how it works. That's never how it's been. It's just simply not true. So no, I mean, there's nothing more to say here. No, I'm sorry, no.
So I decided that I needed some held items. Held items are what you equip to your Pokemon to give them improved stats. So I headed to the shop and I spent about half of the total in-game EOS coins I'd earned so far.
As you should, because you're new.
One that increases my maximum health, one that gives me health regeneration, and one that increases my damage output. And I thought, finally, my Pokemon is kitted out. I don't have to
So, I mean, that's the other thing, right? Like, brand new player buying items, like, kind of ignorantly, doesn't know what they're buying, doesn't know what they're, hasn't done any research. This is part of the process if you're super new and you're just kind of diving in, but there's nothing wrong with this system, right? Like, you're free to play. You haven't spent any money outside of like the little 7-day login bonus, which comes with its own rewards. So I'm not even saying that that's a terrible monetization thing that they've given you, or option that they've given you, but you're just new. Like, you don't even know what you're buying, right? So this is totally fine practice for me so far.
Think about this anymore. I can just play the game. So I charged into battle with my head held high, and I got absolutely demolished. It became very clear to me at this point that it wasn't just enough to buy the held items, because when you first get one,
that's true,
they're almost completely useless.
No.
Like this attack increasing scope lens that I bought, it was literally giving me a 0.4% extra chance of getting a critical hit that dealt more damage. Imagine adding 0.4% to your dinner one evening. You'd get
I mean, so yeah, I get the purpose of that, but you're new. Again, this is built-in progression, right? Like, I'm pulling up DB, I'm looking at scope lens. So scope lens is the passive as well. Like, you can't look at the flat stats and say, oh, I get 0.4%. It's like, no. That's not actually what scope lens does. What scope lens does at levels 1 through 9 gives you an additional 45% of your attack stat when dealing a critical hit. So you can't look at the flat 0.4% and pretend like the item effect isn't there. The thing is, and this is where Pokemon Unite fails and where this player has failed. He doesn't know that because the game doesn't tell him that. This is all Unite DB information that we have. And where the player is failing is that he's just looking at the flat amount, and the game is failing because they haven't given him that specific information. So it's a communication breakdown issue from the game, which we know doesn't educate the players enough, and doesn't tell the players everything. And then it's a player who's super new, acting a little silly about the situation, because no, there's no way, dude. You're brand new. You're not supposed to be at the highest level of mastery and at the highest level of skill and strength when you just started, like, hours ago.
That one extra P. In order to become competitive in ranked matches, you actually need to level your items up all the way to grade 30.
Nope, actually that's not true. There is a soft cap on the item effects passive at grade 20, item level 20. I don't know why I said it the way he said it. So also not true. Again, for context, I'll bring DB over so you can see. Let's look at scope lens as an example. This is Unite DB. Scope lens is an example. You can see it in the gray text in the middle. Deals additional damage equal to 45%. /60%/75%. Now, what those different values are is from items levels 1 through 9, 1 through 9 is the 45%. At 10 through 19, it's 60%, and then at 20 all the way to 30, you get that 75% of your attack stat as additional damage. So that's actually not true, because between 20 and 30, all you're going to get is additional flat stats. So that crit hit rate, crit hit damage. And don't get me wrong, those are benefits, but the biggest thing about items in Pokemon Unite is the passive. It's always been the passive. It's always been the efficacy of having that passive. So you can see it even says it. Oh, it's 1, 10, and 20. So yeah, 1 through 9, 10 through 19, and then 20 plus. Yeah, so I did say it right. So yeah, it's not even true. You don't even need to get your items to 30. Every single player that plays Pokemon Unite could be successful in, like, ranked with level 20 items. Now, I will say a world's caliber player is going to want level 30 items, but guess what? Tournaments are played in tournament mode with maxed out items. So again, this is just false. It's just not true. And again, it's because he doesn't know, because he's incredibly new. So let's continue.
At which point they will give you a big game-changing buff, like let's say 15% more damage. But the problem...
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what he's citing there, because I don't think there's an item that gives you 15% more damage. Now, there's an energy amplifier that gives you 21% more damage for like 3 seconds after using your Unite move. But that was a bit of an exaggeration or just false information. So I'm not really sure.
Is leveling up your items is a ridiculous process. You can't earn levels with skills.
It's pretty
play.
long.
You have to buy them with something called item enhancers. But then these item enhancers are so unbelievably slow to earn through any organic means that I was practically
I wouldn't call them too slow.
Second purchase, the battle pass.
Okay, so I don't agree. I think that what you have to realize is that if you're a new player coming in, there is a steepness to the game. Now, this is a concern for me, especially when in regards to emblems, because he doesn't even touch on emblems in this video, if I remember correctly. There's a steepness to getting into Unite. When you get in, you do not have everything, but you're not really supposed to. You know, we've been playing the game for like what, 13, 14 months now. You have to go through the grind, right? Like, and it's not, you're not going to just lose all your matches, you know, just because of it. Now, I will say, if you're coming into Pokemon Unite, you're playing standards, you might play with some people that are pretty kitted up, but it's really not enough to hold you down. And I haven't played the game. Now, listen, this is a part that it's a little bit bizarre to talk about. I haven't played the game as a new player in a long time, so I don't remember, or I don't really know how much they all give you everything, but the game gives you lots of enhancers. It gave the super enhancers. I'm assuming it still gives those, the free level 30s. It gives it gives some items for free. It gives like if you're playing and doing all the events and all the different things, you get lots and lots and lots of tickets and currency. So I think the game is decent in regards to giving free-to-play currency and free-to-play resources to players, to the point where I don't think you have to buy the battle pass. I just think what you're experiencing is being a new player in a game that's been around for over a year, and you're behind. But the fallacy is thinking that being behind is keeping you from winning games. It's not.
This game, and almost every other mobile game like it, uses battle passes as a way to guilt their players into paying more money. Okay, so I don't know if I can agree with that sentiment. I don't know if I can say like, oh yeah, they use the battle pass to guilt players into paying more money. No, the free-to-play model with a battle pass has been a pretty successful free-to-play model since pretty much Fortnite came out, and I actually think that the model's good. Now, here's the kicker. I don't like Pokemon Unite's battle passes because they don't give enough, in my opinion. I think that they give way too many tiers of just currency and not enough tiers of content, but that's a personal thing aside. It's still a pretty good deal, right? Like, all things considered. Now, here's my thing. I'm boycotting the game. You can check out the link in the description. I don't want to give them any money for the month of October because I don't like the way they handle the game. And that has to do with some monetization stuff, but it mostly has to do with the development of the game. I don't buy the battle passes because I don't see a lot of value in them personally. But if you like the skin in the battle pass, then you're good to go. But you're not forced to buy the battle pass because they're trying to guilt you into it. Now, there's definitely a layer of FOMO, but that's how every battle pass works. But it's not to get more out of you. The battle pass is probably one of their primary sources of revenue. The battle pass is the thing that offsets the free to play. So you know, you can call a game free to play and realize that there are more things that you have to buy or could elect to buy to make your experience better. Absolutely. Like skins, like getting a little bit stronger or expediting your grind. Absolutely. But at the core of what you're doing here is you're playing a video game without spending anything. So there is an offset to the free to play, and that comes in the form of battle passes. So no, I don't think you're forced to buy it. And I don't think that you have to buy it. I haven't bought the last like 3 or 4 of them. So yeah. Complete a game, it'll tell you the rewards you earned, and then the rewards that you could have earned on top of that if only you bought the battle pass, which is just this whole extra stream of rewards to keep playing and keep coming back to the game. And in this case, a lot of those rewards just so happened to be what I was looking for. Item enhancers.
Some of them, yeah.
$10 in real money. I bought it because the alternative option was to sign away weeks of my life grinding for it, but I was becoming very aware at this point that I'd already spent more on this game than I had in any mobile game I'd ever played before.
So this point feels a little weird to me because, like, what's the relevancy? What's the relevancy of saying like, oh, I've spent more on this game than I've ever spent on any other mobile game before? Well, it's like, I hate to say it, but that is a choice, right? Like, it is a choice. And I think the thought process behind like, oh, well, I would have to spend weeks, otherwise spend weeks grinding the game to get the things I want. It's like, is there like a thing in the world where you don't have to put in work to get the thing that you want? Like, maybe I'm a little confused, but like, I look around, like, you want something, dude, you got to go get it. Like, you got to work for it. You got to grind for it. You have to earn it. So the notion of like, oh yeah, the game's free to play, and this is an issue I had with Moist Critical, and it was whenever he revisited the game when Thea Skyrunes came out, he said something like, oh, well, the emblems are pay to win, and it's like, and like, people were like, no, they're not, and he was like, oh, well, if they're not pay to win, why don't I have them all? It's like, what? It's like, because it's a progression system, bro. Like, go get it. Like, get your ass into the game and play the game and earn the shit. So I don't know. There's a weird like, there's like a hard right and a hard left to talking about free to play games, where it's like, oh, we want everything for free, and it's like, well, that's unrealistic. And then the other one is like, well, oh, you know, you have to grind for everything. It's just weird. It's really, really bizarre. I don't know if I explained that well, but there is like a weird perspective in free to play where people just expect you to get everything for free right out of the gate, and it's like, that doesn't really make any sense for the business model. Like, you got to think about the fact that, like, me being someone that's unhappy with Pokemon Unite, I still want the devs to eat, right? Like, I still want the devs to make money because they need to make money, otherwise the game isn't sustainable. So I don't know about that.
Still, at least now when I was playing, I could guarantee myself a steady supply of new item enhancers so I could remain a competitive battler. And that's about where you'd expect the story to end.
Again, right? the fallacy is thinking that you're not competitive.
Right when you're just not good at the game. My problems is actually when things took the biggest dive so far. Because it's at this point that I realized
he's a good storyteller.
How many of these item enhancers I was going to need. See, when you're upgrading your items, all you can see is how many item enhancers it costs to go from the level you're on to the next level. And so when I saw that all of my level 1 items just needed 3 item enhancers to level up, and then I saw that with this battle pass, I could get myself a bundle of 30 item enhancers every few days of playing, I thought that this $10 would easily cover me. Thank you. But what the game didn't tell me...
It's an interesting editing choice there.
You go up with your held items, the more item enhancers you need to get to the one after that. So
that's true.
Actually, to get my 3 held items to level 30, it wasn't that I needed 100 or 200 of them. I actually needed no less than 7,761. When I realized this, my jaw practically hit the floor.
It's pretty steep.
To put that number into some perspective,
but again, you don't need 30s.
The entire base game of Pokemon Unite, the maximum amount of item enhancers you can possibly earn, without getting into the whole loot box opening system, is 1,535. If I completely max...
Okay, so let's quickly talk about the design of the item enhancers and leveling up items. Again, there's a soft cap at level 20, and I think that there's definitely like some noob baiting here. And what I mean by noob baiting is that they're clearly trying to bait players or potentially leaving the door open to bait players into the process of spending their items to upgrade to like past 20 in order to make them keep playing, to keep earning, to keep like grinding, right? Like obviously I think a progression system like this it's built on trying to retain players, because the more they need, the more they have to play, the more they have to either potentially spend, or if they want to, because that is a choice, or you just keep playing the game, which for a developer, time is money. And so if you're playing the game, that's great, because there's potential for you to turn into a paying customer. And if you're paying for things, then that's great for them as well. But also just player numbers are like, you want the game to be healthy in terms of player density and population as well. So the item enhancer system is not inherently bad, but it's not all good either, right? It's definitely incredibly steep. Like when you do like look at the math behind it, it's like, holy shit, that's crazy. But you have to look at the reality. The problem for, you know, this guy here is that his reality is already skewed, and it's wrong. He thinks that, oh, in order for me to be competitive on the battlefield, I have to have max 30s. That's not true. You need 20s. You need 20s and you need good builds. So if you're picking up leftovers and maxing it to 30, you fucked up, right? Like you done goofed and you didn't do your research. Now, a part of that is a problem with the game, because I don't think that we should have leftovers. That's a useless item. Absolutely not. But it is. And I don't think that, you know, maybe the steepness is so welcoming. I don't think it's a good idea that it's in the game, but it's not inherently the worst thing and the most evil thing they could have done, because it's not a system that is truly like, oh, if you don't have 30s, you can't win. That's not the way that it is. So when you understand the reality, which is that you just need 20s to be reasonably competitive, and you can still win without 20s. I can go make a brand new account and win most of my games still. When you are reasonably able to get your items to 20, you're competitive, and you can target those too, right? Like you can target it like a role or a type of character and say, hey, I'm gonna get these to 20, and I'm gonna start there, and I'm gonna play these kinds of Pokemon. Now that just takes a little bit of research. So again, I think a lot, like we're 4 minutes and 40 seconds into this 22-minute video, and I've been talking for 20 minutes. This is probably gonna be a long one, so buckle in. But I just think that the problem is that we've already we already recognize that there's a lack of reality here, and we've already created the fallacies behind these systems and what you actually need. And so we have to like course correct all this. The problem is the implication of putting this video out on a 12 million subscriber channel with 500,000 views on it in 5 hours. So
out my battle pass,
yikes.
Which is already something that I've paid for. On top of that, I could bag myself an extra 360, but I mean, not only would this process take me roughly 150 days of playing every single day to earn, but even with that, I would still need to find a way to get the remaining 5,866 item enhancers that I still needed. And that's when
just
you have
play.
almost no option but to turn to the shop. How much do you think this was going to cost me? A simple, almost required mobile game in-app purchase.
But that's the thing, it's not required. Like we've already set the precedent, right? Like it's not required. You don't need every item maxed up all the time. You don't need those 3 items maxed up to 30. It's a lack of information. Like I'm just gonna have to let it run, because otherwise I'll just keep reiterating myself. He's just misinformed. He's uninformed because he did no research, and that's probably partly the issue with the game, right? It definitely is, but it doesn't make it true. So
$100, 100 real money dollars. And if you wanted to max out all of your items, not just the 3 that you currently have equipped, $760.
It's definitely sensational and good storytelling.
No, God, please, no!
You could probably fly out to Japan, go to the actual Pokemon Center.
See what I mean? Like the storytelling on this is incredibly good.
For that price. But the scary part of it is that at this point, what choice did I have? I poured so much time and love into my account that I didn't feel like it was an option to just stop playing. It was either I pay $100 or I accept that I will be disproportionately disadvantaged in every future game that I ever want to play. I decided to go for it, which I know is probably the single most pointless purchase I've made in my entire life, and I have made a lot of pointless purchases over the years, but I wanted to give you guys a real experience. I wanted to know, and to be able to show you what would happen next. And sure enough, somehow, it managed to get even worse. Because then, only at this point, only $100 into this supposedly free mobile game, did I find out how Pokemon Unite makes its big money. So we've established at this point that EOS Gems are the premium currency that you can use
This
to buy
is where the editing gets really good.
But it's not the only currency, because you also have EOS coins, which can buy most of the things that Gems can, but you need a lot of them. Next we have tickets, which come in 3 flavors: EOS tickets, fashion tickets, and holo tickets. Fashion and holo tickets are
fashion and holo ticket KEKW.
While EOS tickets let you buy those item enhancers, as well as boost cards that increase the amount of experience points you earn.
It is convoluted.
Coins can be earned in events and challenges, but when those run dry, you do need to buy them with gems. Are you keeping up? Because then on top of that, you have EOS Energy, which is required if you want to play a match and get the proper set of rewards, but is gradually used up every time you do so. And we've even now got the limited time cake currency for the ongoing
during the anniversary event.
Yep. If you hadn't already guessed, after 2 weeks of playing this game, my head was spinning. The game is so unbelievably confusing, to the point of being stressful, and I was about...
Okay, so to the point of the game being confusing, I definitely agree. It's a lack of information, and it has to be partially by design, right? So listen, when I'm sitting here harshly criticizing this video, I'm gonna talk about the things that it does right. There's a point coming up here in a little bit that is so true, but the game is complex, right? Like they have these like inner complexities, these mini complexities that just make things a little confusing and convoluted, and I definitely agree with that. That said, like, again, I have to talk about it. Look, the reality of YouTube in making good videos like this is that we are storytellers, right? We're sitting here to talk about a thing, to give our points across, to tell a story. The storytelling in this video is so freaking phenomenal. The editing is phenomenal. But like, you could hear the pacing of the music, and he's talking about, oh, you got to get the gems and to get the hollowware tickets, and the way that he starts to speak even is telling the story. Like, the tone of what he's saying becomes urgent and confusing and fast paced as to, you know, to like alert you to like, oh, look how confusing and convoluted this is. But even that is just storytelling. Like I could tell you the same thing in a much more calm tone. But again, I'm still like, I don't care for some of the practices and like the ways, like the over convoluted menus and how many menus in Unite there are, and you got to go click on this and click on that and earn this and unlock this. But it's still not that predatory. And when it is, and we're going to talk about that. But just saying, like, you know, keep yourself informed on the notion of like reality versus like really good storytelling.
Find out that it is intentionally designed that way. Not to mention that I worked out if I actually wanted to continue to play the game competitively, with full access to all the characters I wanted to use, with a nice selection of outfits for them, and enough energy that I would continue to get rewards for doing so, this game was going to cost me, at the very least, another $1,200.
So, okay. Perfect example of great storytelling. Oh, if I wanted to play competitively with all the characters I want to use, well, first of all, you don't need all the characters. That's just a reality. You need a pretty healthy roster to play the game seriously. And then he throws in, oh, with some items or with some outfits to wear. You don't need outfits, man. You don't need. He set the premise of, to play the game competitively, this is everything I'm gonna need, and then he throws in outfits. Like, come on, dude. It's the sensational it's the over sensational storytelling that leads to this big edit moment, right? So nah, man, let's peel the curtain behind this fucking Wizard of Oz shit, right? Like let's take a look behind the curtain and see what the fuck's going on. This is bullshit. This some hardcore bullshit right here. I need to spend $1,200. Nah, fuck, man. No, you don't. Relax. This is just really, really good YouTube. Yeah.
I grabbed my laptop.
Good for you, man.
And started digging. And this is where I understood just how much I was being and was about to be manipulated. And how widespread these developers who are effectively scammers.
Oh my god. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't even like the Unite devs, but I'm not going to call them scammers. I just call them greedy. But like I was about to be manipulated. Then don't be a bitch on the internet. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, just like make your own decisions. I don't know.
It all starts with the first spend. And this isn't a term that I've invented. This is a term.
This is where shit does get interesting,
by
though.
Developers. This is Torolf Jernstrom, CEO of the mobile game company Tribeflame, giving a talk on monetization strategies for mobile games.
The first spend, it breaks the ice. Then they think of themselves as spenders in the game. It's okay
absolute psychology hacking.
And what he's teaching these other developers is that 98% of players, when they first start playing a free mobile game, will go into it under the premise that they won't be making any in-app purchases.
Yeah, but that's naivety as well.
You're one of them too. But the second that these games can get you to lay down your first dollar, they've effectively broken your barrier. I mean, your willingness to then make further payments will skyrocket.
So you need to break the wall first.
In hindsight, this must be why Pokemon Unite gave me that super cheap login bonus just 6 minutes after I started playing. They don't care about $1. They just wanted to crack me, to turn me from a free player into a
this I agree with.
And
absolutely.
I only realized this after watching this developer talk about it, but the way that the game manipulated me into buying it was through the anchoring technique. By first presenting me with an expensive in-app purchase that they actually knew that I wouldn't buy, that Unite membership, they set my expectations that $10 is about what a set of prizes is worth in this game, which meant that when they then swooped in with that $1 deal to get the login bonus pass, I would have felt foolish for turning it down because of the comparative value.
Okay, this is fair, but a caveat. Can you not just make decisions on your own? Like, this would be fair if the reality was that, like, we're that programmable, right? Oh, well, they put this big membership in front of me knowing that I'm not gonna want it, and they're anchoring me, and then when I pull that away, it shows me the $1 deal. It's like, dude, like, yeah, you're right. I absolutely think that they're psychology hacking. 100%. I'm totally on board with you. They're going after the smart business practice to make money. But are you not at the end of the day in charge of your swipe? Like, and look, I'm not defending them. I think that Pokemon Unite is over monetized and underdeveloped. 100%. These developers suck. But these claims are just a little bit aggressive to me. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious about that.
I got played. But I realized that
you let yourself get played.
I cared so much about this purchase, and the reason that so many people pour so much cash into these games is based on another simple human facet that's being exploited. We like to be better than our peers.
Oh, absolutely.
It's baked into our very
Absolutely.
DNA that our survival depends on having a competitive advantage versus the people around us. And so, pit wealthy players against each other at something.
You're in the
and
flux
that leads
zone.
them to be able to pay for that competitive advantage, and the only party that really wins is the game developer who's charging them. You can see this technique in all the most popular games, like just recently Diablo Immortal, where you will get completely sliced apart by the players who have spent big money.
Yeah, I don't have any comments on Diablo Immortal because I don't play
Mind
it.
you, that's the gambling industry we're talking about. Says something about this. If you're trying to be a free player in Diablo Immortal,
Asmongold.
you're effectively a side character to these whales, and your best chance of winning is just to stick by their side and to support them.
Okay, so this is where things get a little interesting because he starts making comparison to other games, and like I can only talk so much about them, but like comparing like whales and Diablo Immortal, of what I've heard and what I know, to anybody that could be considered a whale in Pokemon Unite, it's not the same. It's not even close to the same. You're not a side character. You're not a wild Pokemon to somebody that's whaled the game. It's just not pay to win like that. So maybe Diablo Immortal is super pay to win. I've heard it. I know. I've heard the stories. I've heard about the guy spending $100,000 on the game. I've heard all that, but it's not applicable. So this is all irrelevant.
This is by design. It gives that 2% of the player base who is willing to spend thousands of dollars that power trip feeling that keeps them coming back to spend even more. And sadly, even if you'll never be one of these whale players, you're still unknowingly fueling the system. Being able to tear you apart with ease, it makes you the thrill that the whales keep paying for. And
well, yeah, when you walk into a 1v3.
If it was as simple as you pay a load of money and then you just win from now on, that would be too kind. That would mean that the devs would miss out on making any further money from the whales. So they found a way around that too.
Oh,
what these games do now is
such
when you pay
YouTube
to make yourself significantly stronger.
Such
they'll let you have
YouTube.
your first few satisfying wins with
Oh,
no
yeah?
players.
Oh,
to
is that what
stimulate that
happens?
reward mechanism, and for you to associate that purchase with a positive feeling. But once that's over, we'll soon start pitting you against other players who've also spent large sums of money in the game.
Okay, dude, the tinfoil hat is in full effect, right? Like it's like, look, I can't disprove or prove that matchmaking doesn't work in some kind of way like this, but like this is so sensational and over the top. Like, oh, now that you've spent money and now they give you weaker opponents, and now you can't prove any of this the same way that I can't prove it either. But I think that making the claim is just so silly when you have like very little games played and you have no experience and you don't know what you're doing and you don't understand macro play and you don't understand how to build your character. And it's like all of this video, okay, this is the sad reality of this video. This video has a lot of great information, of which I haven't even really gotten to yet because we're only halfway through it. But dude, he discredits so much of what he has to say because he's just so ignorant about the game, and that sucks, right? Because I think that they put a lot of good work into it. The results from his work is going to show. Again, 12 million subscribed YouTuber, has 567,000 views as of the time of me recording this. They're making money, right? Like they're going to make money off this video, so it's a successful project of a video. But the backlash or the what's the word I'm looking for? The fallout of this video is worse than I think he realizes. Like this is going to put another negative stain on the game that the game doesn't need, and I would rather us have conversations about the developers and the way that they are failing the game instead of having to do this shit right here, because this is a waste of my time, although I think it's entertaining and interesting. But it's just good YouTube, man. Like I said, like the best thing I can say about this is that it's really good storytelling, but it's all bullshit. Like most of what he's saying is just bullshit.
Us always creating this feeling that no matter how much you've already paid,
Yeah.
you're always one purchase away from being content, from being better than your
Yeah,
peers. But
totally.
we're actually getting there because there will always be people.
Does
willing to
anybody
spend
feel like
even
this
more
in
than-
Unite?
This is why I felt
No
like
one.
no matter how much I was spending in
No
Pokemon
one feels
Unite,
this way.
I still kept losing.
It's 'cause you're dog shit.
Diablo Immortal is even worse. You know how like it's quite a big
Probably
deal
true.
to pay $10
Diablo
for an
Immortal is
in-game
probably dog
purchase?
shit.
You know how like I was absolutely appalled that you had to spend 1,000 in Pokemon Unite? Well, in this game, it can cost you $100,000
yeah, I heard about this story.
to max
Yeah, but
out
this has nothing to do with Unite.
$100,000 to actually escape this
Not
feeling
applicable to
of
Unite,
constantly just needing a
which the
little
main
bit
video
more
is
power.
about.
And that's just until they release an update that increases that cap. So, I've made my first purchase. I'm already feeling the social pressure of wanting to be better than other people. that's just step one of the hook habit hobby model that's starting to become the playbook for a top grossing game. Because to make the real money off me, they also have to make sure that their game becomes a habit. And according to this guy,
that's fair.
Best way to do that is to give me rapid progression to start with, to make sure that the first few levels are incredibly quick, the first few unlocks are incredibly cheap, and the first few enemies incredibly easy. This stimulates the reward
that's all true.
Players' brains.
Absolutely.
The same reward centers that give you a rush every time you pass an exam at school, or every time you get a pay rise at work. And it does it in such a way that your brain will start to crave it. That you'll want to play these games as a regular part of your day because the progression you're getting gives you more instant
that's fine
than probably any other part of your life will. And this is why you barely can find a game now that doesn't have a battle pass baked inside of it. It's less about the $10 it might cost you per season, it's more about trying to form a habit inside of you. At the point where you've paid real cash to get extra rewards every day, who's going to not log in and claim them? And at the point where they do that...
So, okay, so I agree. And again, I think that, listen, right? I think it would be naive to think that this is like a malpractice in the gaming industry when the same shit exists everywhere, man. Like, you think that social media platforms aren't giving you dopamine kicks? You think that these like you know what I mean? Like what else can I even liken this to? You think that fast food isn't made to be amazingly delicious? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing everywhere. Everybody is trying to make the highest, most rewarding, best feeling, amazing product that they can to make more money. That's capitalism. Welcome to the world, right? Like, this is not some crazy new innovation that's been built in gaming. This is pretty standard, and at the end of the day, and this is the part that I guess gets a little crazy, right? Because there's a balance, right? Like, you don't want devs that can do everything to extort you and exploit you, but at the same time, dude, you are a human living being. Like, you need to make your own decisions and have some self-control. Like, if you can't, no, I don't even need to say it. Like control yourself. Like, yeah, they can build habits and make the games fun. That's what every industry is doing with their products, not just gaming. So I don't know. Control yourself.
Why not just play a couple of games too? Now it makes sense why Pokemon Unite was so keen to get me to buy the Battle Pass, because as soon as I did, it makes the most efficient way to play the game from now on to log in a minimum of once per day. Some games like Diablo, they go even further with this, offering login bonuses that start tiny but get bigger and bigger over time so long as you log in every day, to the point where you'll actually be scared to miss a day because you'll lose so much progress.
That's FOMO. They want you to play, for sure.
It's the hobby part of hook habit hobby that's the most dangerous. Because once that habit is formed, and you've already spent vast amounts of time and money progressing your character, this is kind of like where I am with Pokemon Unite right now, these companies know you're not going anywhere. They have your complete, undivided attention, and that's when they start to change the way they carry on earning from you. Away from traditional power-ups, because you've already spent hundreds or thousands making your character stronger, more on convenience. I find this so horrible, but effectively by slowing down your natural progression with the sole purpose of trying to sell you ways to speed it up again.
And this is a beautiful point, because I totally agree. This is where you can start to look at development and say, okay, that's pretty shitty, right? Now I can't speak to like slowing down natural progression. Well, I mean, I guess in a way I can. Slowing down natural progression to then sell you a way to further that, absolutely. And a really, really good example of that, and this is a practice that you see where, and it's not just in gaming either, it's where they create a problem and sell a solution. We saw this with emblem pages. They gave us 3 emblem pages. It felt like shit. There's more than 3 roles in the game, more than 3 types of Pokemon in the game. And then what do? They sell us a bunch of pages. Absolutely. I think that that's a pretty shitty thing to do, in my opinion. I think that if you are going to do something like that, the cost should be free to play and like really, really low cost, because there's already so much other monetization. Now, here's the thing. This is where things get really subjective. You want the developers to monetize because you want the game to be healthy, and you want the game to be like fair and like accessible to free to play players, but you also need to know that they can't get everything for free. So you need to find that balance. This is where Pokemon Unite, in my personal opinion, is fucking up. They're not finding the balance. They're over monetizing. Now, guy up here, I don't think he's right. I'm not really agreeing with him, but he's right a little bit, because they are monetizing a lot, and they are trying to create problems and sell solutions, and they are like, I mean, like the psychology hacking, like the hook hobby, habit, whatever he said, all of that's absolutely true. But again, that's happening in every industry in the world, probably, at least consumer industries where like you're consuming a product or buying a product, something that you want. They're definitely trying to do that. But yeah, so Pokemon Unite over monetization, absolutely. Too expensive for skins, absolutely. Like just having way too many ways to spend money on the game without improving the game. Now, if the game was really, really great, they were constantly communicating, constantly putting out updates, fixing the issues, you know, communicating with the players, working with influencers. Like if they were doing all these things, then I probably wouldn't even care at all, because it would be a good balance. We're unbalanced. It's imbalanced how much they're monetizing for how little and how much we're getting back out of it in terms of quality. Again, not really agreeing with him, but not totally wrong on this point.
Experience point multiplies, making it so that I now have to pay to get that same high stimulation, fast progression feeling that I used to get when I first started playing the game for free. Not a dissimilar strategy to drug dealers, I should point out, who effectively build their businesses by handing out freebies to get clients addicted with the hope that
this is good storytelling
and are willing to pay to keep that high going. It sounds stupid, but at this point in the player journey, most will pay real money to earn even, let's just say, a bonus 10% experience points. And it's all driven by something called the IKEA effect. I should elaborate. See, it's a pretty well regarded fact that IKEA furniture is not the best quality, but because it comes in pieces and you have to assemble it yourself, that effort that you've put in makes you value it so much more. And in the exact
I've never
same
heard
way,
this before.
Developers know that even if you realize that their game is not the most balanced, consumer-friendly, fair service out there, once you've spent weeks building up your character and putting in the work to make them right for you, your attachment is so high that you'll be willing to go to great lengths to keep the fun alive.
I don't know about that, but some lengths, yeah.
We've established at this point why someone might want to make an in-game purchase, but what is it that's moving that needle, that's pushing them to want to spend extortionate amounts of money? Well, in a large part, it's because
foolishness.
They don't realize how much they're spending.
This part's true. All of this part is really true.
Distortion. The idea of creating a layer between the in-game money that you're spending
and
the real-world value of what that's costing you. And I realized, my God, this is so real. Like, when I wanted to upgrade my items in Pokemon,
I'm gonna let him speak on
I had
this.
to first buy item enhancers to do that. But then, it's not like I could just pay dollars to buy those item enhancers. I had to use EOS tickets. And then, when I wanted to buy EOS tickets, I had to use EOS gems. Or, to put it another way, I had to convert my currency 3 times to be able to actually do what I wanted with it.
Okay, so this is where the over sensational like YouTube-y stuff comes in, because again, keep in mind that that's all true, and I absolutely agree. They're like putting these layers and these filters up, these walls up, where it starts to convolute how much you're spending. Because even I can't tell you how much shit costs. I don't keep up with it. I don't care to. But again, you can get a lot of this stuff for free. Like, yes, you need item enhancers. Yes, you need tickets to use it. Absolutely. But like, just use the tickets that the game gets you slowly over time. Again, the fallacy still in the storytelling is that you need to have this right away. That's the fallacy. So keep in mind that like we've set the precedent of reality, which is that you don't need all max 30s and you don't need all max items. You just need like 20s for good builds and good items. He's still speaking as if you need everything and you need it now, right? Because he's like, oh, I have to spend gems, I have to spend money, and then spend gems, and then spend tickets. And he's right. Like, the convolution of currency and like the making it confusing is there, and I like, it's obviously like there to kind of like make the conversion and the amount get lost in the sauce, right? Like, that's definitely the intention. I'm not a huge fan of it because it's obviously like a little manipulative. If we're being honest, it's a little manipulative. But again, he's still speaking from that perspective of, oh, I have to do this, I have to spend money, it's going to get convoluted. Like, and he's partially right here, partially right on this point. Like, he's very right on this point, but there's still that layer of the fallacy speaking that he's doing.
This is borderline criminal, because not only has it started to feel like it's not real money being spent, but I've also got no idea how much each purchase is
this is true
anymore. Not to mention the fact that you can always never purchase the exact amount of gems you need, meaning that A, you spend more than you need to, and B, you will always have leftover gems in your wallet that can't be exchanged back for cash, which is just going to encourage you to make your next purchase by topping up just a bit
that's true.
more.
I get that.
And the cherry on top of this whole alternate cash reality is that if you look a little closer, you realize that this game doesn't have
the music is so funny
of the word purchase. They never use the word loot boxes, they're prize boxes. They never use the word buy, it's always obtain. They don't even use the word shop, it's an emporium here.
I don't know if that matters, right? Like, I mean, I guess there's like probably a light layer of psychology there that says like, oh, don't give him the scary words, right? Sure, but I don't know if it matters.
genuinely reminds me of those killer clowns that you used to see on the internet. They have the most child-appealing, innocent facade, but just beneath that thin veil, they're pure evil. Imagine if there was like a high street shop that tried to pull this stunt, that made you exchange your cash into tokens as you walked in that could only be spent in that shop. They wouldn't get away with it. Neither should these guys. Oh yeah, and if we say that material distortion
I'm kind of on board
2
with that.
to 3 times what you otherwise would have for in-game items, then reward randomization, which all of these top games are now using, was going to bring that all the way up to 10 times. This is Call of Duty Mobile. It's actually one of my...
This is where we're going to go on another off-game tangent that doesn't really apply to Unite very much, but we'll let it rock.
...favorite mobile games from a gameplay perspective. But check this out. A lot of the rarest and the most desirable items in the game are locked behind loot boxes. Like, for example, I really want this gun they've got in the middle. It's designed so that when it kills people, it turns them into a shadow. That will win me so much social validation. And it costs 30 premium coins to have a spin. It's about 50 cents in value. So I head onto the store, I buy myself 420 coins. That should be enough to have 14 runs at this. I'll definitely get
this guy sounds like he has a self-control issue.
And I realize, huh? The price just went up, and it's going to keep going up every single time I attempt it.
That's shitty.
From 30 to 40 to 120 to 300 and beyond.
This guy needs more self-control with his money, and yeah, this rolling system on COD Mobile is dog shit.
Just slip past the gun I really want. It will also, one by one, put a received marker over everything I have unlocked so far, reminding me of how far I've come and encouraging me to finish it and get everything that the loot box could possibly contain. It's only when I checked the hidden stats that I realized this is not a roulette wheel like it appears. Each item does not have the same chance of coming up, but in actuality, the real chance of getting...
Oh my god. The stats, they were so hidden, guys. Oh, how did he find this diagram? Where did he get it? It was so hidden.
This gun,
the fuck?
Starts at literally 0.08%.
It was so, the hidden stats, they were so buried.
You've received every other item in the box.
Come on, man.
0.08%.
Control yourself. Stop spending money.
You will almost definitely pay.
Take charge of your life.
$100 for this gun. That is multiple times more than almost any player would have even considered had it just been priced like a normal product in a shop. So all of this explains how these games are able to make, frankly, extortionate amounts of spending seem reasonable. The only thing left is how they create the sense of urgency for those purchases.
Homo, this is real too.
This is simply by overloading the player.
Well, I don't know if he's going to talk about that, but FOMO is real.
Different currencies, and how I was completely and
kinda
overwhelmed by all the interlocking systems that came as a result of them. None of those needed to exist. You could have had the exact same game where everything was bought and sold with just the simple EOS coins. The only reason that we had to have 7 currencies is to create multiple separate in-game economies in which you don't just have to be rich in one of them, but all of them to actually succeed. And it's a system that you can't actually beat.
No.
Because the more resources that you spend on one currency, the more you find that another one becomes your bottleneck. Most games do this through energy. Pokemon Unite has it. And to be honest, the game Shadow Legends system is even more egregious. Where every single time you choose to play, you're spending not just your time, but also this virtual energy currency.
These are like the time-gated energies, which technically Unite has because of emblems.
So, just to be very clear, you have to not just pay to buy your items and level up your character and get your costumes, but also to play the game that's supposed to be free. And at the same time,
you don't have to do that. You can play on Unite. You can just play.
Once, you're also given the feeling that you have to do so quickly. No joke, 90%.
Again, I think a big issue with this video I have is the meshing and intertwining of other mobile games into Unite. Because, dude, I gotta say, Unite's a pretty free-to-play friendly game. My issues with Unite are very, very lacking on the whole, is the game approachable? Is it pay to win stuff? It's really not that. I do think that they're greedy as shit. I think that they're over monetizing, but not to the point that it's a detriment to the gameplay. The gameplay is phenomenal. The issue with the gameplay is that the developers are not making it better, and that they're not, working on the in-game systems. If you know anything about my issues with Unite and why I'm boycotting the game for this entire month, it has nothing to do with this stuff. It has to do with the fact that I do think that the balance of value per per the amount of monetization in the game is not there. We're not getting enough value from the developers to warrant this layer of monetization, but it's not really about the monetization systems in place. And again, I do have issues with them. I've talked about it a bit, but I just want a better experience. But the way that he's selling this is just not the same, and he's mixing in COD mobile loot boxes, and he's mixing in Raid Shadow Legends time gating you out from playing. Like, that stuff doesn't exist in Unite.
The purchases you'll be shown in these games, they're all somehow just about to expire. You see timers everywhere.
That's for the mode.
Counting down.
That's for the
There's
game
no reason why
mode.
this Pokemon costume should need to expire. It's not like the Pokemon company is going to run out.
I mean, I do
virtual
agree
materials
with
to make
FOMO.
them.
Like, it's a thing.
Just
I get it.
instill you with a sense of fear that if you look away, if you so much as
FOMO
put the
is
game
fear of
down for
missing
too
out.
long, you might just miss your dream item.
That's absolutely psychology
what I
hacking
realized
too.
is the worst part of how this game stresses you out on purpose is the way that it handles the Pokemon themselves. You unlock access to cool new Pokemon just by playing, which is great. You even get rare and fancy outfits for them. But they're temporary. Unless you pay to keep them, the game takes the stuff it's given to you away from you. And this taps into the very...
No? Like, no? Like, literally no. I don't know.
fundamental loss aversion that all humans have.
Not
We
true.
are biologically coded to disproportionately value something that we own, such that the idea of losing it would cause us more pain.
When you
than
buy
the
your
happiness we
character,
get
you
from
have your
obtaining it
character.
if we
I
didn't
don't
have
understand.
it. And these gaming companies are now using this to replace just having a shop that you can casually browse at your own leisure, for instead allowing you to feel like the thing is yours
Like I
first,
missed something.
and then charging you to not snatch it away from you. The long and short of it, what I realized from 3 weeks of playing one of these games, as well as digging into why these companies are doing what they're doing, is that the more addicted you become to the game, the more profitable the company is going to be.
I think that's
Success in this
slightly
industry
true in
is
any
no longer
product.
defined by review scores or player satisfaction. It's defined by how effectively a developer is able to convert an innocent player who just wants to enjoy
That's
what
probably
I think is
true.
a free game into someone who possesses all the traits of a severe gambling addiction.
Okay, that's a little
I'm speaking the bearer of
excessive.
Good news, but the truth of it is, these shady practices are getting more and more sophisticated as time goes on.
I
They're
agree with that
starting to spread
sentiment.
From mobile games to console games, and we've even just started seeing the effects that it's having on the next generation of players, spawning all sorts of impulse control disorders. So,
I don't know.
be aware of games.
I can't
try
speak to that,
make you feel
nor can he
money.
really.
And
That's
feel
why he
free to
didn't.
subscribe to the channel and share this video if you found it useful.
But if
I
you
found
do
it
find
interesting.
yourself in one of these
Okay,
games,
and then
you
he's
feel
got
yourself with
his
tips,
sponsor
you
for the
also
video.
get cases.
All right, so friends, there you have it. I'm not going to take up any more time. This is over 50 minutes long. No, man, like no, that's really it. Like no, yes. Timmy Studios, Pokemon, Tencent, whatever, are a little greedy with the game. Yes, they could definitely make the game better. Yes, I'm boycotting the game for the month of October in hopes of hearing our message, but this is not it. So, friends, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of Mr. Who's the Boss and his perspective. You got to play, man. You got to play the game. And listen, Mr. Who's the Boss, if you do end up watching this, I don't mean any disrespect. I just got to, I got to do my thing here too. I'll be honest with you. It sounds like you have a spending problem. It sounds like you don't have a lot of control when it comes to making purchases and buying the thing that's right in front of you. And it almost seems like a very personal issue to not be able to just buy the thing that's right there. And I don't have that problem. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't have that problem, but you're not wrong, right? Like they're definitely trying to get all of this stuff to work in that way. And that's why some of what you say is good, but a lot of the way you put it, especially specifically for Unite, which this whole video was basically about Unite. Nah, man, it just doesn't land. So friends, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Pokemon Unite content, discussions, things like this, that, the other. As always, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.